everyone, and happy Science Week!
Happy Science Week!
Thank you so much for joining me, Shanice Griffin, at Microsoft Dream Space for a very special ESERO Ireland event where we will be chatting all things careers in space. Now, we have an incredible panel joined with us today, and we also have a live studio audience. I know, very exciting. But first, let me introduce you to our panel. We have Lorraine Hanlon, Maeve, Doyle, and Michael Martin. Lorraine Hanlon is a professor of astronomy and director at the UCD Centre for Space Research, where she does a wide range of space-related projects throughout her entire career. Very, very impressive, if I do say so myself. Then we have Maeve Doyle, who is a senior flight software verification and validation engineer at Astroscale, based in London, testing programs to make sure that they do exactly what they are meant to do. And last, but certainly not least, we have Michael Martin, who is an engineering manager at Réaltra, an Irish company dedicated to design, development and manufacture of cost-effective space electronics, avionics and using cutting-edge technologies. So guys, thank you so much for joining me today. Michael, I'm going to start with yourself. I want you to take me back to the very beginning. Can you let me know where you got your love for science from?
Yeah, I grew up in a small village called Ballyjamesduff in County Cavan, far from anything to do with space. But my father was an electrician, and he always, through my life, he was always telling me things about technology and electronics and things like this. And one night he got me up for the landing on the moon, where the astronauts walked on the moon, and this really thrilled me altogether and set a seed that I want to work in the space industry. And I said that to my father. But you know, growing up in a small village in Cavan, and if you went around telling people you were going to work in space, they think you were crazy.
Crazy, yeah.
So I kept that very quiet to myself, but always had that burning ambition there. And then I went to the College of Technology in Cavan Street, which is now Dublin University, or Technical University, and studied telecommunications there, but mainly to come back and run my father's business. But a couple of months after I graduated, there happened to be a pop concert in the town that I grew up in for charity. And just before it was to start, the sound system failed. And somebody said, oh, there's an electrician in the town that can fix things. You know, he'll come up and do it. So I came up, looked at, fixed the system.
The handyman.
Concert went ahead. And they're all thrilled with that, obviously. But the manager of the pop group was actually a lecturer in the university in Maynooth, in the physics department. And he came to me after the concert and he said, would I be interested in a job in the physics department in Maynooth?
Oh, brilliant.
And this is an opportunity. I couldn't resist. So within 3 weeks, I was working in the physics department in Maynooth. And then bringing electronics into the physics degree. But then a few months after that, Professor Susan McKenna-Lawler convinced the European Space Agency that Ireland have the capability to build an instrument that could fly in space. And the particular mission that she was selected for was a mission to fly through Halley's Comet. So a huge, huge opportunity. And again, being in the right place at the right time, I was the only one who knew anything about electronics. So Susan Lawler came to me and said, you're going to design these electronics.
Wow.
So it was a great opportunity, and she
very impressive. And now look at you, a very successful man. And then Maeve, onto yourself. You were torn in school, weren't you, between science and art? Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, in junior cycle they were my favourite subjects, science and art. I didn't really know which one I wanted to pursue, so I used TY, transition year, to figure that out a little bit more. I participated in a lot of different things that were on offer, but I had 2 work experiences, and I did one that was more kind of art focused in a bakery and another one that was more tech focused in analog devices in Limerick. I still didn't really know which one I wanted to pursue, but gave me a better idea that, okay, yeah, I think science is where I wanted to head. I did art, physics and chemistry in senior cycle. So yeah, I enjoyed them both a lot, but when I attended a careers event, once I found out that astrophysics, physics with astrophysics was a degree I could do, and kind of art didn't have a chance because I was obsessed with stars and astronomy, so I decided, to give that a shot.
Wow, that's incredible. It's so interesting hearing like the backstory on how you wanted to pursue that career, and now look at you all now, very successful people. And Lorraine, yours started with a question about atoms, didn't it? Can you expand more on that for me, please?
Yeah, it was when I was in second or third year in school, and our teacher started explaining how the atom was structured, and there's electrons in different orbits. And I asked, well, why are they in those particular orbits? And she told me I should study physics if I wanted to answer that question. And I was in an all-girls school in the north side of Dublin, and they didn't offer physics for the Leaving Cert in those days. So I decided I would do physics at night for my Leaving Cert at the local VC. So I did, and I still hadn't got the answer I wanted to why there was electrons in particular places around the atom. So I went to study physics in college, and I was in third year in college before finally I got the answer to that question. But I really loved that understanding really why things are the way they are, and then that interest kind of went from the atom all the way out to space.
Wow. I love that you all like had the courage to pursue your passion, because it's so important, I feel like, especially in this day and age, to just not settle, and when you want something to just go for it. And Maeve, that led you to London. Is there many opportunities to travel or work in other countries in your field?
Yeah, I would say massively, both in academia and industry. There's opportunities to travel. When I was looking for my next opportunity after my PhD in UCD, I had applied to places in multiple different countries, in both academia and industry. So yeah, that's an exciting opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Michael, on the flip side, there's many more opportunities to stay in Ireland, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, the space industry has expanded dramatically in the last 10 years. We now have over 130 companies working and doing business in space. So there's huge opportunities there, all sorts of careers, and particularly the way space is going now with habitation on the moon. So
send me there, please.
Yeah, there are all sorts of great opportunities for
that is
for
phenomenal.
Now. I mean,
I love hearing that though. Like it's
jealous.
really interesting to hear it.
Yeah.
And then just going back a step, Lorraine, do you need to go down the formal route of leaving cert and college in order to get a job in the space industry?
Not necessarily. There's loads of opportunities right across the board. So it's not only technical roles that the space industry needs. You know, we need accountants, we need writers, we need creators, we need people with imagination who can create things like habitats on the moon. I know it sounds, you know, wildly like sci-fi, but the European Space Agency is planning for that. And there's loads of different routes as well into university now, if that's the route you choose. Apprenticeships are also a really important track as well. But there are lots of, like in UCD, a quarter of all our first year places are for students from non-traditional routes, so not just the CAOs, so through here and there and through mature student programs. So there's loads of routes into study, and there's loads of routes of study to get you working in the space business. I feel like that's
so important to let everybody know as well, because I feel like when you're in school you feel like there's only one set route that's given to you, but it's important to know that there's many routes that you can take in order to get that dream job that you want. And then Michael, back to yourself, there's so many skills that can be used in all sorts of jobs. Can you expand on that for me a little bit, please?
Yeah, I mean, as Lorraine said, there's such a wide diversity now of skills needed that there's something for everybody there. But the big thing to add to the education that you get is to be driven and determined to succeed, because there's always problems in space.
Yeah.
And to be a problem solver. A problem solver is a big, if you have that ability, then you will go far, because no matter what job you're in, you need that ability.
Yeah, so absolutely. And do you think, so Ireland is important when it comes to space? I'm going to pose this question to Lorraine and Michael, and either of you can answer it if you feel like the answer comes to you.
So the question is Ireland important in space?
Yeah, when it comes to space.
I think so, yeah. I mean, you might think we're a small country, but as Michael said, we've got over 100 companies now. We've built Ireland's first satellite, we launched it, we operated it, it worked brilliantly. We've got, you know, such a talent base, and I think that's now more and more recognised internationally, that we have amazing people and ideas and wonderful education systems. So yeah, we're small, but we can offer a lot.
We're mighty. We're small but mighty.
Yeah.
And I think Ireland has a good reputation abroad. We're doers. We get on and do things. And you can see the success of that. I mean, There's Irish scientists involved and Irish engineers involved in all sorts of very high profile projects like the James Webb Telescope. It was in Dublin, filters were designed for that. The Ariane rocket, we have our video system on that. And all throughout many, many years, there's been always people in very, very key projects.
And it's just continuing to progress and get better and better, which is obviously great to hear. And then Maeve, how do you feel about opportunities for your career in space with all the exciting things going on?
Yeah, I think it's great. I think there's very exciting opportunities out there. I mean, I got involved in this part of the space sector in satellites through the AirSat-1 project in UCD, so it's not something that I ever in secondary school thought I would necessarily be involved in. So I'm already kind of amazed by what's happened to my career because of those opportunities, and yeah, that's still happening every day.
Yeah, and I say, like, before we go to a Q&A, what would your top tip be for anyone that wants to pursue a career in space? This question goes out to all of you, so you can answer individually and what comes to you.
For me, it's be persistent and don't be afraid to reach out to people when if you see someone on telly or I see them on social media, if you have a question for them, ask. And I used to do that when I was your age, a long time ago. And I was always so excited when people replied, and invariably people do reply. So that opportunity to connect and just ask a simple question, and that can sow another seed and help you along your journey. So stick with it as well.
Brilliant. And yourself, Maeve?
Yeah, I mean, it would be kind of very similar. Don't be put off by kind of the intimidating descriptions of some jobs and even some courses. So when I was in senior cycle and I discovered the astrophysics course, astrophysics in Maynooth, I thought it sounded terrifying. I was like, okay, this is really cool, but I've no idea if I'll be able to do this, because I was okay at maths, but I had to try hard to be okay at it. And I was good at physics, but yeah, I tried hard at them. So I actually reached out to a professor of astrophysics at Maynooth University, Craig O'Sullivan, who responded to me within the day, and just kind of helping me clarifying some of the
put your mind at ease.
Yeah. So as in, don't be afraid to ask questions, don't be afraid to reach out. People are very helpful, and yeah, don't be put off by some of the words that you'll read in the descriptions for courses and jobs.
It can be very daunting.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And then yourself, Michael, what advice would you give?
Again, I'd echo what Lorraine said. Don't be afraid to reach out. There is a huge ecosystem there in the Irish space industry now. Everybody wants to help. Everybody wants to get more young Irish people involved in space. So use your TY experience to work in some of those companies. Use your internships, different things like that. And don't be afraid of the challenge. It's no matter where you are, you can succeed. And the opportunities are there. If you have the determination, the opportunities are there.
Well, that is brilliant advice, if I do say so myself. Thank you so much. But that's enough questions from myself. So we're going to send it over to you guys. If you have any questions, let us know. But I am aware that we have a couple of questions in the audience, so I'm going to head on over there. So come along with me. I'm going to come over to yourself.
I have a question for Maeve. What does a typical day look like for you?
Yeah, so a typical day for me involves a lot of teamwork. So I am involved in a team who verify and validate satellite software, which is a fancy way of saying we test software. But we coordinate as a team, so a lot of team meetings, and then for the rest of the day we decide what tasks we're going to go away, what software we're going to write to test the software, so more software to test the software. So a lot of writing software, executing tests, and then meeting back up with my team to see how those tests went and what progress can be made for the next day. So yeah.
Brilliant. That was a very good answer. Okay, who do we have next? Who wants to go next? Put your hands up.
My question's for all of you. Is there anything interesting happening in space-related careers in the coming 10 years?
Oh, I like that one.
Yeah, huge. I mean, there's jobs that don't even exist now that will be in 10 years, especially with all the habitation moving to the moon, Mars coming along as well. And I was just thinking about some of the job titles you could have. How do you fancy being an electrician on the moon base, setting it all up there? There could be extraterrestrial construction technician.
Oh wow, even the thought of that, yeah, exactly, my God.
Interplanetary agricultural scientist, that's going to be a huge thing. Space tourism, They're going to have hotels and flights to space now for the weekend, or spend a weekend in a hotel in space. So how do you fancy being manager of hotels?
How close are we?
Yeah.
How close are we now? When can we go?
The moon there, European Space are targeting 2032 to have,
That's soon.
to start working on the moon, yeah. Yeah.
Get
So
booking.
perfect for your careers, yeah.
Have we any more questions? Put your hands up if you have a question. You got a question?
Right. This one's for, so I was
No,
going
you're all right.
This is for Lorraine. Would you say the skills for a career in space are transferable?
Oh.
Definitely, and they're transferable in all directions. So if you train as an engineer in, oil pipelines or something, those skills transfer into the space business. But similarly, if you've done something that's quite specific in, say, satellite building and doing electronics and cabling for a satellite, that's transferable out if you say, actually, I want to do something more ground-based, or I don't want to go to the moon. So there's this crosstalk, and a lot of people who I teach in my master's course are coming from different aerospace engineering or electronics or mechanical engineering or physics, and want to get the skills then to transfer that expertise into the space sector. So I think there's a lot of toing and froing, and really, when you think about technology and skills, there's all the kind of underpinning, you need to know electronics, you need to know mechanics if you're a mechanical engineer, and that then you can specialize into the different domains, like, whether it's energy engineering or space engineering or another sector. So honestly, it's as broad as you want to make it, and nothing you will learn. My advice would be everything you learn along your journey you will use. You don't know how or when or why, but you will use it. So nothing in your education is ever wasted.
Very valuable advice there. Have you got any more questions before I take my seat? No? All good? Happy days. Okay, I'm going to take my seat. Oh God, we've loads of questions flying in from Ms. Okay, so this is from Emma from Dublin. Hello, you have the same name as my mum. What is your favourite thing about your job? I think this is aimed at all of you, so we'll do it individually. We'll start with yourself, Lorraine.
My favourite thing is working with students. Every year I have new students in, and they enthuse me again for what I do, and I always learn probably more from them than they do from me.
Oh, that's really sweet. And then yourself, Maeve.
So one of the things I love about my day-to-day job is kind of what I said in answering that other question. I love the teamwork aspect of the job that I do, and being part of a team. But one of the things that I personally love about my job as well is the idea that I'm working on a satellite that's going to space. That's something I had on the EarSat-1 project. It's something I have on this project. It's very exciting.
I learned about that last year.
Yeah, it's exciting. Take a step back. Sometimes you don't realise when you're in the day-to-day job, like, well, what.
Yeah, I
take
think
that
it's
step back to what you're working on, but
like,
then when you look and you're like, oh, there's a satellite, and
you're like, I worked on that. Yeah.
yeah, and it's going to space. I love that.
That is brilliant. And then yourself, Michael.
Yeah, it's just every day you're learning new things, even at this stage of my career. But the big thing about working in space is the sheer satisfaction of seeing something you built going into space and working in space. There's nothing to beat that feeling, that satisfaction and sense of achievement. And you're part of a very unique club.
Yeah.
And you do that, not many people have done that. So yeah.
I'd love to do a day's work experience with you all. It's very fascinating, to say the least. We have a question from Joseph from Limerick. Hello, Joseph. What has been the highlight of your careers? Again, this is obviously posed towards all of you. So I'm going to start with yourself, Michael.
Gosh, yeah, that's a difficult one. I've been very lucky at many highlights, but I think probably the first one that I put into space and seeing it flying through Halley's Comet and seeing all the fantastic information coming back from it. But more particularly, that was the first Irish instrument, and to see that work really well, because in the beginning of the project, some people were laughing at us that Ireland could never do things like this. So the satisfaction of that was really good. Yeah.
Brilliant. And yourself, Meg?
Yeah, mine is very easy. So it's the launch of the EarSat-1 project. I worked on it for my master's and my PhD. So about 6 years, flight software and operations engineer, and the day it launched, I cried a lot. I bawled.
That would have been a very sentimental moment, though, like seeing all of that.
Unbelievable, yeah. Definitely the highlight of my career. And yeah, getting to experience stuff like that in my career is amazing. But yeah, that was someday.
Brilliant. Brilliant. And then yourself, Lorraine?
Well, I have to go with Maeve on that one. So while Maeve was in Dublin for the EarSat-1 launch, and she did the launch broadcast, I was in California at the launch site, so that was unforgettable.
You were in California?
Yeah, yeah, to see the rocket, the
Yeah,
Falcon
yeah.
9, go up with our satellite on board that we had spent 6 years designing and building and testing. And that's the first Irish satellite, and it worked for just under 2 years perfectly. Yeah, so that was the proudest moment.
Phenomenal. Okay, and then we have Aoife. I'm not even going to pronounce the school because I will butcher it, I'm sorry. But is it possible to have a career in STEM without being skilled when it comes to maths? Very important, because I'm brutal at maths as well, just to let you know. But again, this question is for each individual person. I'm going to start with yourself, Maeve.
Yeah, I think definitely there's huge opportunities if you're not specifically kind of maths focused. I think some courses you do have to take a look at them and see what kind of subjects they're asking you to do. So I know in my astrophysics course I had to do maths for 2 years, if not 3. So it was very maths heavy. So if you're someone who does not like maths, then that course might not be for you. And I think that's an important thing to check out. But there are plenty of opportunities to do a space-based career. As we said, there's many kind of broad-reaching space careers out there that aren't technical as well, that aren't solely technical. So it's just about making sure that you take a look at what the course is asking you to do as part of requirements. And as I said, always feel free to reach out to professors and lecturers to get their take on it as well, because they're the ones who are offering the course.
Yeah.
They'll be able to tell you, okay, if you get this grade, maybe this is how you'll fare in the course or get on.
Very important advice to give. And then yourself, Lorraine?
I think we kind of focused, maybe because of the work we do on the building of the satellites and so on, and which is quite a technical discipline. But actually there's enormous opportunities for people who use the data that comes back from satellites, particularly for Earth observation, for looking at, you know, the weather, the climate, the environment, and actually been able to use kind of geography, mapping skills, connecting those with software tools that are out there to understand, okay, here's what the satellite data is telling me about flood risk in Cork. Here's what the weather maps are telling me about, you know, traditional flooding. Now I can connect that maybe with AI tools to do a flood forecast. But all of that data coming in from satellites is a huge opportunity that isn't as kind of mathsy heavy or as engineering focused as some of the things we've talked about earlier.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you for that. And then yourself, Michael?
I think there's a full range now, the way space is going and how big it's getting now. I mean, you need lawyers for space law. You need operations people who are just good at doing things. You need project managers, you need technical writers. So there is a lot of where you don't necessarily need maths or an engineering subject. So
there's a lot involved in it, isn't there? It's not just maths.
No.
To let you know, it's not just maths. There is other opportunities as well. And now we've another one from Aisling in Kerry. Hello. So you guys are exciting, but what other exciting people have you met in your careers? Okay. Michael, let's start with yourself.
Oh, yeah, again, I've been very, very lucky. I've met a lot of astronauts. Chris Hadfield was very impressive in particular. But I think the most important one from my career was Professor Susan McKenna Lawler.
Wow.
Who was really a game changer in Irish science and space technology. So she'd definitely be one of the big influences in my career. Yeah.
Brilliant. And yourself, Maeve?
Yeah, again, kind of you get great opportunities to meet a wide variety of people. Met a few astronauts, which has also been very nice. Yeah, you meet people with just really interesting careers. The EarthSat-1 project was supported by the European Space Agency, so we met a lot of people working at the European Space Agency. People with very inspiring stories, inspiring careers that are always there to answer questions, and very cool people.
Yeah, absolutely. Sounded very well ahead of their years. And yourself, Lorraine?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I think
it's exciting that you've met.
Yeah, exciting. Well, I met on this weekend a new ESA astronaut candidate originally from Belfast. Her name's Rosemary Coogan, and she was amazing. She was telling us about all her training and, you know, going in underwater in this big astronaut suit for 6 hours at a time. And
6 hours?
Yeah, so doing that in Houston. So she was wonderful just to hear about her training. She hasn't been to space yet, so she was selected out of 20,000 people to be part of the East Astronaut Corps, and she's born in Belfast.
Wow. An Irish girlie, true and true. We have a question from Marie. How many years do you have to train to be an astronaut? Do we know that?
I think it can be a long program.
Very long time.
Rosemary Coogan was selected in 2022, and I think she's completed her training now. But she has to wait then to get an opportunity to actually go to space.
Oh wait, so it's only a few years. I was expecting it to be like 10, 15 years.
Well, she hasn't gone yet, so I keep training her. So there's about 8 or 10, I think, in that latest round of astronauts.
Makes sense.
And some countries buy their astronauts a seat then on a commercial mission. So if it's not an ESA program, they might go with one of the commercial launch companies like Axiom 4, for example. So, you know, there's more and more commercial opportunities.
Absolutely. We have a question in from Jacob. Hello, Jacob. Which areas of science or STEM do you use most in your job, and what is the Irish satellite used for? Who wants to answer?
It's for you, Maeve.
So I would use a lot of software. A lot of software in my day-to-day job. That's actually not something that I would say was heavy in school at all in senior cycle or my degree, really, as in I had a bit of software coming in the later years of my degree, but now my job would be quite software focused, engineering focused, but yeah, that did come into my degree later. So that would be what I use most. I don't have a computer science degree, but that is another avenue you could do where I guess it'd be more software based. The Irish satellite, Educational Irish Research Satellite, had 3 scientific payloads on board. So one of its primary aims obviously was to be Ireland's very first satellite, which it achieved very well. And then it had 3 experimental payloads on board they carried out science experiments for the almost 2 years that it was up there, collecting science data, one being on a high energy astrophysics payload, looking at light from astrophysics source called gamma ray bursts, which is a research interest in University College Dublin. So it collected a lot of science data over its 2 years, and
Fascinating. That is truly fascinating. Right, I'm going to ask the audience one more time. Does anyone have a question that they want to ask before we answer more questions? No? You want to ask a question? Yay, we got a question.
What do you think the impact of AI and machine learning technologies will have on the space industry?
Oh, I love that question.
Yeah, we work in this area, particularly for us, the main use of AI is a fault detection and trying to predict it before it happens. So you can do something to prevent your instrument failing in space. So that's going to be a huge benefit going forward, particularly of being able to use more commercial off-the-shelf electronics that you'd use in everyday electronics. It's very difficult to put them in space because of the radiation, but with the help of AI, we can characterize it and have fail-safe systems that can keep that instrument working. Well, previously we wouldn't have been able to do that.
Amazing. I'm going to take my seat again, sorry. Take my seat. Okay, we have a question in from Owen, and he said, would you say that scientists or engineers are needed more in the space industry today? Who wants to answer that question? Anybody can feel free to answer.
Yeah, I think so, because it's expanding so much. You know, you have the huge expansion now with SpaceX getting thousands of satellites up there into space. You have all the new constellations coming along that Maeve is working with, all the repair and the reorbiting of satellites. There's huge expansion in space now, and that business now is going to be something like $1 trillion in the next 5 years.
Wow.
So there'll be scientists, engineers, all sorts of people needed to keep that industry going.
Wow, that's a lot of money, isn't it?
Yep.
Oh my God. And then we have one from Marie. Is there licensing laws involved in rocket launching, or are there laws in general? That's a great question.
That is a great question.
Isn't it?
with that one.
It's a very big area. We don't really have space law in Ireland yet. So normally you have to regulate launch sites. You have to clear airspace, so you can't have aircraft going over if you're going to launch rockets. And so far we don't have that possibility in Ireland. But for example, from the north of Scotland, from Shetland Islands, there is an approved launch site. So we will be seeing European rocket launches in the very near future. So space law is a big area for sure. For AirSat 1, we did have to get a special agreement between UCD and the Irish government to give us permission to register the satellite with the UN Office of Outer Space Affairs. It sounds wild. So we're in there as the #1 from Ireland. But we had to go through an individual process. There wasn't a rule book that said, oh, this is what you have to do to register your satellite. So that's for the next, for AirSat 2.
Very interesting. And then we have a question from Daryl. He said, this might be cheeky, but what are the salary expectations for a career in space? I think it's a question we all want to know, to be fair. But yeah, whichever is, feel free to answer. If you want to answer, that is. You don't have to tell me your salary, but you can tell me like the expected salary.
Traditionally, the space salaries are lower than industry because of the benefits and the kind of, it opens up a whole new career for you. So it would pay less, but still pay reasonable. Yeah,
okay.
It would be, yeah.
Interesting. There you go.
I think for because I hear our students when they go off to get jobs, that a lot of the starting salaries might be 50,000, 55, 60,000 now for which I think is quite a good starting salary after college.
Yeah.
I can verify that figure.
Oh,
That's around.
We have a verified source. And then we have a question from Lily. Hello, Lily, saying, what are the perks of your job? Right, who am I going to start with? Lorraine, I'll start with yourself.
Perks are certainly working with bright students. That's a joy and a perk and a privilege. Being able to follow my own ideas. As a professor, I can pursue my own research interests and work on projects that really motivate me and excite me and that I'm passionate about. So I've always viewed that as a great privilege of my job, and been able to just travel to incredible places like observatories where we observe the stars through telescopes, in amazing islands like the Canary Islands. Weirdly, has amazing blue skies at night. You can see the stars from there. So they build telescopes in some of the nicest places in the world.
And Maeve, what would be perk of your job?
So I had it in academia, and I thankfully now have it in industry as well, but you end up working with people who are very passionate about what they're working on, and that makes work
your
very
job's so
enjoyable.
much easier.
Yeah, I mean, it's lovely to go into work and just have people who are like excited to be there, who really love working with what they're working on, and it changes the atmosphere entirely. It's really nice to be around people who are just like excited to be involved in what they're involved in.
It's half the battle as well, isn't it? When you enjoy what you do, and other people enjoy it as well, it's a smoother transition.
Yeah,
it's
100%.
easier. And then yourself, Michael, what is the perk of your job?
I agree fully with Lorraine and Maeve, definitely. It's great coming in. Everybody has the buzz about space, and it is a great topic matter. Even when you're outside, you say to people you're working in space, wow,
fascinating.
So it's always great conversation breaker. So the perks for me, I mean, one of the perks that just last week, the Ariane launched their 4th rocket, the Ariane 6 rocket. But about a day before that launch, I was on the phone to a guy who was on top of the rocket trying to fix a problem with it and direct them what to do. So and we got it
very
fixed.
Casual, so casual.
We got it fixed.
Chilling on a rocket.
Yeah, so just
the
thrill of something like that, or that you're actually talking to a guy who's up on top of that rocket,
my God,
fixing it. Yeah, so that's things like that are fantastic. You get
that is
buzz.
so brilliant. I love hearing that. Then we have one here saying, hi from Woodbrook College. Hello. Our students would like to know what opportunities has your job led to. I think this is for you, Maeve.
Yeah, I mean, it's led to a huge amount of opportunities. I initially, as I said a few times, I did physics with astrophysics, and then my master's and PhD were very much research focused. But then with the AirSat 1 project, it opened up kind of satellites and satellite engineering, so another array of opportunities, and that expanded what careers I could pursue. So I could look at more research focused careers, or I could work on more satellite engineering. I chose to go with satellite engineering, but there's a huge amount of opportunities then with satellite engineering. I first decided to pursue satellite operations, so operating satellites that are already in orbit, and that's what brought me to London initially. I'm now working back on flight software for satellites. Yeah, there's a lot of different opportunities and areas that you can get involved in when you get involved in a satellite, because you're typically exposed to the whole project, and you get that opportunity to work on different areas within that project. As we said, a satellite takes many different skills and parts to come together to make the mission a whole. So you get that opportunity to do that, and then travel to do that. I chose London a little bit because I'm a home bird as well, so I like to be able to pop home as well. So yeah, that opportunity to travel as well, which was a big one in academia. It was a perk I had in academia, definitely, where I could travel to conferences and different things like that.
That's so fun as well, though, isn't it? Being like getting to go here, there and everywhere, more or less.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, we have a question from James. I think it's a question that I wanted to ask as well. What is on the table? It looks cool. So we have a lot of we have a lot going on the table. And Michael brought these in today, didn't you? Did you bring these in today? Can you explain these to us? They're also, if anyone in the audience wants to hold them, let me know. Do you want to hold them? Which one do you want to hold? Let me know. I need them. Wait, this one? Be so careful with it.
Take the paper.
Me saying be so careful with it, and I let it forward. There you go. Meet me halfway, please. Yeah, can you explain, Michael?
Yeah, so that one there was the data handling unit on the Rosetta satellite. The Rosetta satellite had a lander which landed on a comet. So that was the first time that was ever done. It was a European Space Agency mission, and that data handling unit was built in Space Technology Ireland in Maynooth, and was a key part of the project.
Wow. And these ones that we have here, can you give us a brief?
The small one here with the white front on it, that's the Halley's Comet instrument. So that measured the electric field as it passed through the comet and survived all the dust and everything. One of the few instruments to actually survive, because it's a very, very dusty environment. That one, the large camera here on the side, that's the actual camera that's used on the Ariane 6 rocket. So that's on the outside of the rocket. So it has to survive the separation of all the stages of the rocket. So it's very robust.
And it's still intact?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So it's an equivalent of a stick of dynamite blowing up on the bottom of that camera. So.
Oh my, that's great. It's not going to. Don't worry, it's not going to. That was brilliant. Yeah. You're still having a little look, are you? Does anybody else in the audience want to hold anything that's on it? Feel free. Don't be afraid. All right, now here we go. This is going to be a challenge. Thank you. This is quite heavy, isn't it? But it's very fascinating. Do you want to hold this one? Oh, the camera. This is the camera, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh my God! And this was in the rocket.
Yes, yeah.
What the hell?
That same was in.
Well, it's a copy.
In a
copy of
historic
it, yeah. It's a test unit, yeah.
Oh, it's a copy. Yeah. Maybe like. That is brilliant.
But a similar one flew on the rocket last week. Two of those are on the outside of the rocket, yeah.
Yeah, there's a bit of weight in them as well, isn't there?
Yeah.
Wow, oh my God. Okay, so we have Castletroy College in Limerick here. Is there a list of Irish companies that work in the space industry? Ooh. Who are we going to get to answer this? Put your hands up.
Enterprise Ireland have a very good section on their website for space companies, so they have a full list of all the Irish space companies on the Enterprise Ireland website. Yeah.
Brilliant, okay. Well, that is the last question. This, unfortunately, is all we have time for. Thank you so much for tuning in to our show that we had today. We hope you learned something extremely valuable. And again, don't forget, never too late to pursue something that you love. And we've learned that today. Thank you so much for tuning in, and happy Science Week. Bye.